How about now? Meron na po ba? May sound na po ba? Oh, meron na. Our next news, update is brought to you by the Shed Cafe. Please scan the QR code to see their offerings. Two dead, over 180,000 displays as Egay pounds Philippines. Report by Michael Punongbayan to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. Super Typhoon Egay roared across northern Luzon and other parts of the country yesterday, leaving at least 2 dead and several injured, as well as displacing up to 180,400 people, or 44,356 families, now mostly staying in evacuation centers. The dead and injured were not immediately identified, as the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council has yet to verify reports, which said the figures were recorded in Calabarzon, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Quezon, the Cordilleras, Northern Luzon, and Western Visayas. Authorities have yet to estimate the damage caused by the typhoon. Egay, international name Duxbury, was forecast to leave the Philippine area of responsibility this morning and was expected to continue bringing life-threatening conditions over parts of northern Luzon last night, according to Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration. Pag-asa said effects of Egay would continue over Babuyan Islands, northwestern portion of mainland Cagayan, northern portions of Apayao, and Ilocos Norte last night. Tropical cyclone signal number 4 remains hoisted over the northern portion of Cagayan, including Babuyan Islands and northern portion of Ilocos Norte. Signal number 3 was raised over Batanes, northern and central portions of Cagayan, rest of Ilocos Norte, and Apayao as well as the northern portions of Abra and Ilocos Sur. Landslide. A 16-year-old student was declared dead on arrival in a hospital after he and his parents were dug out from the rubble following a landslide that buried their home in Barangay Central Bakakeng in Baguio City yesterday. The couple were rescued shortly after the landslide, which occurred at around 10:30 a.m. Their son was retrieved at past noon. Two more landslide victims were also rushed to hospital after loose soil rolled down from a mountainside and buried their houses at Barangay Purol 5 BGH compound at around 8 a.m. Disaster response officials were verifying reports of a woman drowning in a swollen creek in Cardona, Rizal, as the typhoon was approaching the country on Monday. The Isabela provincial government, meanwhile, reported a vendor who died after being hit by a falling coconut. Pag-asa warned of a high-risk storm surge, which may cause flooding in low-lying and exposed coastal areas of Batanes, Cagayan, including Babuyan Islands, Ilocos Norte, and portions of Isabela and Ilocos Sur. Heavy rains are expected until this afternoon over the northwestern portion of Cagayan, including Babuyan Islands and Ilocos Norte. Egay will also continue to enhance the southwest monsoon, which will bring occasional monsoon rains over the western portions of central Luzon, southern Tagalog, and the Visayas in the next few days. Egay was last spotted 70 kilometers west-northwest of Cagayan, and was moving northwestward at 10 kilometers per hour. It will exit the Philippine Area of Responsibility this morning and cross the Taiwan Strait before making landfall in Fujian, China tomorrow. Egay slammed Fuga Island off Apari in Cagayan and pounded northern provinces with heavy rains and strong winds that flooded low-lying areas and blew roofs off houses. The typhoon knocked out power facilities, plunging at least four towns into darkness. Egay has weakened slightly but remained dangerous with sustained winds of 175 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 240 kilometers per hour. Our northern coastal towns are being battered, Cagayan Governor Manuel Mamba told the Associated Press over the phone. Assessment will be done over the typhoon after the typhoon passes, but Mamba said he feared there could be extensive damage to Cagayan Valley's corn and rice farms. Coastal Guard personnel used rubber boats and ropes to evacuate villagers in Bacara, Ilocos Norte, who were trapped in floodwaters. Standby Fund. The government has readied more than 173 million pesos in standby funds to assist areas hit by Egay, according to President Marcos. In a tweet yesterday, Marcos, who is in Malaysia for a 3-day state visit, said the government is continuously working to address the impact of Egay. He gave assurance that affected families are in good condition. The NDRRMC said among regions hit hard by Egay are Bicol, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Ilocos, Mimaropa, Northern Mindanao, and Soxargen. Egay destroyed 57 houses in these regions. NDRRMC estimated the cost of damage to infrastructure at 1.5 million in Mimaropa, Soxargen, and Western Visayas. The Philippine Coast Guard said the number of stranded people decreased from 11,252 on Tuesday afternoon to 1,675 at noon yesterday. Of the stranded passengers, truck drivers, and cargo helpers, 953 were waiting in various ports in southern Tagalog, 372 in National Capital Region, and 350 in Bicol. The PCG said 49 vessels, 308 rolling cargoes, and 21 motorized boats were awaiting clearance to resume sail. At least 7,000 police officers were deployed in areas affected by Egay to assist in disaster response operations, according to the Philippine National Police. Police said no crimes were reported in typhoon-affected regions. Several domestic and international flights were canceled due to Egay. Philippine Airlines spokesperson Cielo Villaluna said further changes are expected as the situation remains volatile. Carmina Romero, spokesperson for budget carrier Cebu Pacific, said 12 domestic flights were canceled yesterday. AirAsia Philippines spokesman Steve Dalisan said the airline canceled its flight to Taipei and Kaohsiung in Taiwan. State-run pension fund government service insurance system is ready to provide emergency loans to members and pensioners who might be affected by Egay. GSIS President and General Manager Vic Veloso said the pension fund is prepared to lend assistance to its members affected by Egay. With additional reports from Romina Cabrera, Artemio Dumlao, Alexis Romero, Evelyn Macairan, Emmanuel Tupas, Neil Jason Cervaños, Rudy Santos, and Luis Maureen Simeon. Moving on to our global news. Singapore hangs 14th drug convict since last year, reports from Agence France Press. Singapore. Singapore on Wednesday hanged a local man convicted of drug trafficking, officials said, 2 days before the scheduled execution of the first woman prisoner in the city-state in nearly 20 years. Mohammed Aziz bin Hussein, convicted and sentenced to death in 2017 for trafficking not less than 49.98 grams or 1.76 ounces of heroin, was executed in Changi Prison, the Central Narcotics Bureau said in a statement. The 57-year-old was the 14th convict sent to the gallows since the government resumed executions in March 2022 after a 2-year pause during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ay, ganon. Hussein's, Hussein's previous appeals against his conviction and sentence had been dismissed, and a petition for presidential clemency was also denied. A woman drug convict, 45-year-old Saridewi Jamani, is scheduled to be hanged on Friday, according to local rights group Transformative Justice Collective. She was sentenced to death in 2018 for trafficking around 30 grams of heroin. If carried out, Jamani would be the first woman executed in Singapore since 2004, when 36-year-old hairdresser Yan Mei Wen was hanged for drug trafficking, according to TJC activist Kokila Anamalai. Singapore has some of the world's toughest anti-drug laws. Trafficking more than 500 grams of cannabis or over 15 grams of heroin can result in the death penalty. Rights watchdog Amnesty International on Tuesday urged Singapore to halt the executions, saying there were no evidence the death penalty acted as a deterrent to crime. It is unconscionable that authorities in Singapore continue to cruelly pursue more executions in the name of drug control. Amnesty death penalty expert Ciara San Giorgio said in a statement. Singapore, however, insists that the death penalty has helped make it one of Asia's safest countries. Among those hanged since last year was Najentran K. Dharmalingam, whose execution sparked a global outcry, including from the United Nations and British tycoon Richard Branson, because he was deemed to have a mental disability. That news update was brought to you by Hidden Vietnam. Please scan the QR code to see their offerings. Moving on to our regional updates. Time check, it's 6:28 a.m. Ex-Quezon City Administrator fails to jump RAF. Report by Elizabeth Marcelo to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Sandigan Bayan has denied a bid by former Quezon City Administrator Aldrin Cunha to dismiss the graft case against him in connection with the allegedly anomalous 25.342 million peso solar power system and waterproofing project during Herbert Bautista's term as mayor in 2019. In a 10-page resolution promulgated on Tuesday, the Anti-Graft Court's Third Division denied, for being bereft of merit, Cunha's motion to quash the case information, also commonly referred to as the charge sheet, and to dismiss his case of violation of Section 3E of the Republic Act 1319 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. The third division had earlier denied a similar motion to dismiss the case filed by Bautista, the primary accused. Filed by the Office of the Ombudsman last March 15, the case stemmed from the payment of 25.342 million peso to Signet Energy Power Asia Incorporated for the supposed installation of a solar power system and for waterproofing works in the City Hall's Civic Center building. The Ombudsman said Bautista approved the release of full payment to Signet despite the company's failure to secure a prerequisite for the project. The payment was released based on an undated certificate of acceptance issued by Cunha, the Ombudsman said. Bautista and Cunha are also facing a separate graft case before the 7th Division of the Sandigan over the allegedly anomalous online occupational permitting and tracking system project amounting to 32 million peso with Geodata Solutions Incorporated. The Ombudsman said Bautista approved the release of payment to Geodata despite the absence of a specific budget appropriation ordinance enacted by the City Council. Full payment was made to Geodata without complete delivery of the project, according to the Ombudsman. Based on the charge sheets, payments to both Signet and Geodata were approved by Bautista on June 27, 2019, or just 3 days before he stepped down from office after 3 terms as mayor. Moving on to our next regional update. Our next regional update is brought to you by the first Magkasangga para sa AITA Play for a Cause that will be held on July 29. That's on Saturday. Egay Downs Luzon Power Lines reports by Richmond Mercurio to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. Super Typhoon Egay affected a number of transmission lines and power plants in Luzon. The Department of Energy, or DOE, said 9 power plants in Luzon, mostly in Benguet, experienced outages due to outside management control, specifically transient fault line caused by strong winds and flash floods. National Grid Corp of the Philippines, or NGCP, said among the transmission lines that became unavailable were the Lailo Santa Ana 69 kilovolt line, San Esteban Bangued 69 kilovolt line, Itogon Ampucaw 23 kilovolt line, and La Trinidad Ampucaw 69 kilovolt line, and La Trinidad Sablan 69 kilovolt line. Also affected were the Tuguegarao Magapit 69 kilovolt line, Cabanatuan San Luis 69 kilovolt line, San Esteban Candon 69 kilovolt line, San Esteban Narvacan 69 kilovolt line, Bawang San Fernando 115 kilovolt line. Customers of electric cooperatives in Cagayan, Abra, Benguet, Nueva Ecija, Aurora, Ilocos Sur, and La Union were affected. Citing data from the National Electrification Administration, the DOE said 19 electric cooperatives were affected due to manual shutdown and tripping of NGCP lines. The NGCP said it has mobilized its 9 crew and conducted patrols to inspect and assess the impact of the typhoon to its operations and facilities. It said simultaneous restoration activities were conducted in areas that are accessible. Power distributor Manila Electric Company or Meralco said an automatic load dropping occurred at around 9:29 a.m. yesterday due to a plant tripping. Meralco said the incident affected around 220,000 customers in parts of Caloocan, Makati, Malabon, Manila, Marikina, Muntinlupa, Navotas, Parañaque, Pasay, Quezon City, Valenzuela, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, Pampanga, and Rizal. Power was fully restored after 11 minutes or at around 9:40 a.m. Rains continue to fill Angat. Meanwhile, the water level of Angat Dam continued to improve yesterday due to rains brought by Egay. Records from the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office or PDRRMO of Bulacan showed that the water level of Angat Dam as of 8 a.m. yesterday was at 181.81 meters or 0.79 meters higher compared to 181.02 meters the previous day. The water levels of Ipo and Bustos dams slightly dropped to 99.53 meters and 17.33 meters compared to the previous day's levels of 99.63 meters and 17.36 meters, respectively. The spilling level of Ipo Dam is 101 meters and 17 meters in Bustos Dam. PDRRMO officer in charge, Manuel Locban Jr., said Bustos Dam opened two sluice gates and has been discharging 52 cubic meters per second in its downstream river system. As this developed, the Department of Public Works and Highways reported that two roads were closed and four highways had limited access due to Egay. The affected roads are in the Cordilleras, Socsargen, and Calabarzon. With additional reports from Ramon F. Lazaro, Rick Sapno, Bella Carriazo, and Jose Rodel Clapano. COA flags DOJ over 555 billion peso disbursements. Report by Elizabeth Marcelo to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Commission on Audit has flagged the Department of Justice or DOJ over 582 million peso in fund disbursements last year as payments to various contractors and fund transfers to the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH. Disbursements, vouchers covering payments, and fund transfers made to various contractors and implementing agencies were processed, approved, and paid without complete supporting documents, the COA said in its 2022 annual audit report on the DOJ. The audit breakdown showed that 130.582 million peso was paid to four contractors while a total of 425 million peso was transferred to the DPWH for various infrastructure projects. Among those flagged was the payment of 99.499 million peso to Rogenox Construction and Supply Corp for the DOJ Academy Training Center in Barangay Ginhawa, South in Tagaytay City. The CEO, the COA, also flagged the DOJ over the release of 300 million for the construction of various buildings under the department's 2018 budget allocation. The audit team said 100 million peso was disbursed to the DPWH for phases 2 and 3 of the construction of the multipurpose DOJ building in Barangay Pucana in Davao City, also with lack of supporting documents. The COA said the transfer of 25 million peso to the DPWH for the construction of the National Prosecution Service building in Cauayan, Isabela had no certification from DOJ accountant that the funds previously transferred had been liquidated and accounted for in the books. We recommended that the DOJ require the chief accountant and other concerned officials to submit the lacking documents and ensure that all payments and fund transfers are properly and completely supported with required documents, the COA said. In its reply, DOJ said some of the lacking supporting documents were submitted to the audit team on February 9. Finally, in sports, good morning po sa mga nag-join ngayon. Si Admin Sol, si Rose, or si Miss Rose. Thanks for joining me, Miss Rose. Si Angeline. Angel, good morning. Okay. Sila RJ Maniquis, good morning. Blue Girls annex own Big Feet in Italy. Report by Joy Villar to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The euphoria in the FIFA Women's World Cup rubbed off on the Philippine Blue Girls as they shocked fancied New Zealand and Italy in the Women's World Cup Group C matches in Castions d'Estrada, Italy last Tuesday. Almost given up for dead after dropping their first three assignments, the valiant Softbells prayed for a miracle and was answered as they overcame the Kiwis 5-3 and later the heavily favored host Italians 6-5 to claim the fourth and last spot in the playoff round. The Cebuana Liwilier-backed Nationals were facing the Italians, who wound up number 3 with 3-2 card in the group in a rematch at press time, with the winner taking on the loser between the Japanese and the Canadians, who topped the bracket with identical 4-1 slates. The top two teams after the playoffs will book a ticket to the World Cup finals next year, also in Italy. Interestingly, the Blue Girls' glorious performance happened hours after the Filipinos shocked the world with a historic 1-0 World Cup win over New Zealand in Wellington. No matter the odds against the stronger squads of Canada, Japan, and Venezuela, the spirit of the team was unbreakable. They came back, showed immense resilience, and we could not be any prouder, said Amateur Softball Association of the Philippines President Jean-Henry Louvillier. While the win over New Zealand was impressive, the triumph over Italy was miraculous as the Philippines dug deep to erase 4-5 deficit and snatched the win. Sealing the victory were 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th and final inning courtesy of Angelo Gabriel, the fielder's choice, and Nicole Hamoud of a fielding error by the Italians. From a break due to thunderstorms with the game tied at 1-1 after 4 innings, the Blue Girls fell into a 1-4 hole following a 2-run double by Barbara Mackenzie and 1-run single by Andrea Filler atop the 5th inning. Hamoud then batted in 2 runs with a mighty hit to center, and then Eliza Taldrisic singled to center that sent the former safely home at the bottom of the same inning that tied the score 4-4. Then Gianlia Kotsunianopoulos scored a run off a sacrificial fly ball by Erica Biancastelli as Italy regained the lead 5-4 in the top of the sixth. But showing courage under fire, the Blue Girls came through with a seventh inning to remember to steal the game. And that concludes our news updates for today, July 27, 2023, Thursday. And here again is a summary of our top stories. Senators to discuss raising zero to UN. School opening last week of August eyed. 2 dead, over 180,000 people displaced by Egay as Egay pounds Philippines. Singapore hands 14th drug convict since last year. Ex-Quezon City administrator fails to jump graph rat. Egay downs Luzon power lines. COA flags DOJ over 555 million peso disbursement. And finally, in sport, Blue Girls annex own Big Feet in Italy. Shoutout lang po muna tayo sa mga nag-join sa atin. Tinay 12 joined me. Good morning, Tinay. Thanks for joining me in Instagram. Then we have, ulitin ko po yung mga nag-join kanina. So we had Rochelle Tayag. Good morning, Rochelle. And thanks for letting me know na wala siyang sound. At wala rin video, yung video kanina naglolo ko. And Michael Katakutan also joined me this morning. Si Madam Mirna Natividad Marsan. Thank you, ma'am. Mawalan pa nga rin po. RJ Angeles Maniquez, thanks for joining me this morning. Si Admin Sol is also watching. Then we have Rose. Good morning, Miss Rose. And si Angge, Inalves Angelina Espinosa is watching. Good morning. Si Jamaica Manikdo Baon is also watching. Good morning, Mikes. And si Christian is watching. And that concludes our news update. Pero ano lang po muna tayo. Would like to invite everybody again this coming Saturday. Di ko lang alam kung pwede pa tayo magpa-register. Kung pwede pang humabol sa registration ng ating first magkasangga para sa AITA Play for a Cause Badminton Tournament. Ito po ay gaganapin ngayong ngayong Sabado. Magsisimula po yung tournament ng alas 8 ng umaga. Tuloy-tuloy na po yun hanggang matapos po lahat ng manlalaro. So, marami po mga nagpatala na. So, it's gonna be an exciting day for magkasangga sa buhay. Especially for the beneficiaries, yung pong ating AITA Abilen na located sa Sitio Socorro, San Jose, Barangay Moriones, San Jose, Town of San Jose. At we're still looking for sponsors. If you want your company or your organization to sponsor to be a sponsor in the event, please get in touch with us, with the organizing committee. You could send me a private message in Facebook. So bukas po, mag-live po ulit tayo. No? Hopefully, bukas wala na pong ulan. No? Tumigil na po yung pag-ulan-ulan na yan. Again, maraming salamat po. This is your Kuya Dom signing off. Thank you po sa TikTok. Thank you sa mga nagsumali ngayon. And sa Instagram, maraming salamat po. Thank you.